here I'm building a jig. I don't have a table saw and I don't plan on getting one, so I always use these jigs. I'm going to cut a long length of a 2x8 or 2x6. I'm going to cut it down. It's actually a 2x6, 5 3/4 inch wide. So I know my saw is 4 3/4 before it hits the blade. So I'm measuring it 4.5 so that 1/4 inch of the blade hangs over the jig. So I am measuring 4.5 away from the piece of wood I need to cut 1/4 inch off of. And then I am putting this strip of wood 4.5 inches away from that piece of wood. Now I made a mistake here. I'm on the wrong side of the saw and I lost control a little bit. And the cut wasn't as nice as I thought it should have been. I'll demonstrate how to do it right. But that's the board, the last board I need to put in, and here it is. And there it is. It's getting really dark out. So my excuse was for it not being quite as good as the boards on my jigs usually come out, is that I was pushing it. I worked too late into the night when I was pulling the saw toward me instead of pushing it like this for better control. Except this is where my saw slipped. And you can see that little rough cut in the saw where it slipped and went in. Other than that, it looks good. That's the one with the jig in the middle. So for the price of lumber, that board is actually fine. I am not going to sink it into the trailer. I'm going to put a cross board under the trailer and put some screws up. So in case I ever want to replace that board for aesthetics, I will just unscrew it from the bottom and pull it out instead of sinking it into the aluminum struts. But this is the finished trailer. It's been sitting here for a week and a half. Next step is we're going to put some D-rings in today, and I don't just want them in the wood with some washers. We are going to add some supports so they don't pull out. So here I am under the trailer putting the chain up through the holes that I drilled. The chain wraps around the aluminum frame so it can withstand the weight of the trailer and other heavy objects I tow. So I've got this piece of aluminum channel left over from the dock. I try not to throw decent stuff away. It always comes in handy. So I'm gonna sink. I've already got these in there. And I'm gonna cut this in half, and it will span 3 boards. And then I'm gonna use the other half for the same thing on the other side for the D ring down here, so that there is no real good frame to tie into. So I am going to not just put that D ring into wood with some washers like some people do. I'm going to span this piece of aluminum across 3 boards, so it's going to have the strength of that. And then I will use those same screws I used before to anchor the rest of this channel into the remaining boards. All right, here we are. Trailer's all swept off. It's getting that time of year in this area that the leaves are turning and falling. So these I have on here. I'm going to need bigger ones because they're falling through, but I'm going to attach something to it temporarily. I was originally going to put outdoor padlocks there, and I think I may do that. I'm adding a board underneath to tie the middle board into the other boards next to it in case I want to take it out eventually, so I don't have to screw it into the frame. Who doesn't love a good O ratchet? We run a nut on a bolt that is much longer than the socket because the bolt will come through the head of the socket wrench. You know, I always thought it was kind of a gimmick, but I love it. It's awesome. Get these carriage bolts nice and tight. So here they are. So you can see the screws coming through the aluminum deck, and that's what's going to go on the rest of this aluminum piece. I'm also going to put D-rings at the very front corners. I found these old pieces of aluminum from an old fishing dock, and they just happen to have holes right where I need them, so I'm going to use those up front. The frame up front will not allow the bigger pieces. So I'm going to put some D-rings right at this midpoint about here, right in front of the wheel. This will go through the tubing on my tractor, where you can put the straps or the chain at the midpoint of the tractor. And this isn't just for towing my tractor. This will haul a bunch of stuff. So it's nice to have the D-ring in the middle. So while I'm drilling here underneath, because it is treated wood, I wear a respirator when I drill, and I'm laying under the dust. I don't feel like breathing it in. Here I'm drilling the holes up through the trailer, and then I'm going to drop the bolts through. I'm going to put the aluminum plate on that spans the different boards, and then put the big washers on. Then I'll put the nuts on and start screwing them on. And here with the O ratchet again. Thing works great. After you learn how to use these screws, they're pretty easy. The head of them doesn't screw into the wood really well. So you have to go very slow as the tip is screwing in and apply pressure to the drill. Some elbow grease, as they say. Don't go too fast. Once you get past this first part that looks just like a sheet metal screw, that's to go into the steel or the aluminum or the metal that you're drilling in. Once these the threads, traditional threads, start to bite into the wood, it's very simple going into the wood. Then just apply pressure as soon as it hits the metal. So my support is screwed in. And we're going to do the same thing to that D-ring. Now, I am going to put some D-rings up here. I have the D-rings, have the aluminum piece that's going to go there on each corner, but I don't have any more carriage bolts. So I get a reprieve for the day, and this is more than enough to tow anything I need to haul right now. I'm going to sink that, I'm going to leave that screw the whole video, even though I've shortened them on other parts of this build, because I want to show anybody that might wonder how to screw these into screwing. Go slow, start slow at first, put steady pressure on the metal drill bit till you get to the wood threads, then it starts to bite into the wood. Just don't go too fast.